So my name is Jenny T and welcome back to the second episode of my Hawaii series. And if you haven't seen the first episode where we traveled from the airport to Hawaii, then I'll link that down in the description below alongside the trailer. Basically, the Hawaii travel series is about my first family vacation ever. I'm actually super excited for this video because this is going to be the first full day that we spend in Hawaii. But because this was the first day of Hawaii, I was so excited that I ended up waking up at around 5 a.m. Hawaii time. And I'm not sure if it was because of the differences between the time zones or if I just wasn't used to the hotel bed, but I woke up early and I couldn't wait to just get the day started. Since I couldn't contain my excitement, the first thing that I did after brushing my teeth and washing my face was go next door to my uncle's since we were all in the same hotel. And during this time, he was actually testing his GoPro. And then after we went to my uncle's and looked at his GoPro, we went to my grandparents' room who were also next door. Wait, we're being paparazzi.
Vlogception.
Then of course we did some more exploring of the hotel since we didn't have a chance to do that the night before. We also tried testing the temperature between the jacuzzi and the pool, and we found out what we thought was the jacuzzi ended up being the pool, and what was the pool ended up being the jacuzzi. He wants to boil alive.
It's cold.
Is it really?
Wait, it's not hot.
Wait, is this one hot?
This one's hot.
Pretty sure our room is like in one of those up there. But after doing some exploring, we eventually headed to the shuttle that would drop us off at the snorkeling site. And that's when we got ready for our first excursion. Of course, to document this moment, we did take an impromptu family photo, which was around 9 a.m. at this point.
Can't comprehend what's happening.
And here was where we also met our guide, who was so kind enough to introduce us to all the different sites in Hawaii. Ended up being around a 45-minute to a 1-hour drive. It was so funny. So basically my cousins kept on falling asleep because we all know how difficult it is to sleep upright in a moving vehicle. Can you imagine if she just woke up to that? Like a camera in her face. The amount of turns that she keeps doing is so funny. It's like
Wait, did you get that?
But alright, after making fun of them, we did eventually reach the pier, which was honestly such a cool sight to see with all the boats on deck. This is actually kind of wild. Does this scare you, like the fact that there's like no railing?
No.
Really? He touched the butt.
He touched the butt.
Hey! 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 You look tired.
Pick up a sandwich box and then like everything fell inside.
Oh, about to go snorkeling! Oh, yeah! Yeah! What is happening? Heyo!
Big family, big family.
And immediately we received a warm welcome from everyone. And that's where we also were introduced to I Ho Mai, which is a Hawaiian chant. what was cool about the chant is that not only did I learn so much about the culture, especially when this was a chant that facilitated cleaning and cleansing of the space to kind of call forth the wisdom of the spiritual realm, but I learned so much about the importance of this chant, and this was kind of an honorary experience that I will cherish forever moving forward. And eventually we went snorkeling, which you probably could already tell from the title and thumbnail of this video. This was honestly such a memorable experience because it was also my very first snorkeling experience and I didn't really know what to expect. And not only am I grateful for the lifeguards and instructors that were there, but as a blind person, I was also grateful to have prescription goggles that allowed me to see everything underwater. Like I said before, it was very quick pace and I didn't really know what to expect. But immediately, once we jumped in, we were told to jump in feet first from the boat, and once we jumped in, there was no going back. A lot of the instructors told us to look down because if we didn't look down in time, we were gonna miss the dolphins. And because it was my first time, I didn't really know how to breathe through my mouth, especially through the mask, and I ended up snorting some of the salt. But if you're a rookie like me, I would recommend plugging your nose manually so that way you could be able to adjust while you're in the ocean and also see underneath. And then of course we were also offered to jump back in a second time, but by the time we jumped in, we found out that the waves were way too strong and a lot of us were struggling to stay afloat, so they did call us back in for safety. And even though I would consider myself a seasoned swimmer, it definitely did work a lot of my glutes and my abs. I also remember them yelling, look down multiple times, which kind of was intimidating at first, but you eventually learn to not be afraid. And I was grateful that I did look down when they did say to look down because I did ended up seeing the dolphins for a split second and they ended up being a lot bigger than I had imagined, but it was such a magical experience in doing so. I will say my cousins were a lot luckier and better at the whole experience because they told me that they saw the dolphins multiple times, which is really cool. Eventually we reboarded the boat after snorkeling, and by the time we jumped in for the third time, we were able to kind of explore on our own, where we were able to kind of see sea turtles and yellowfish and all the other sea life that was available in the ocean. I of course was way too exhausted, so I decided to stay back on the boat. But during this break, we were able to eat some sandwiches, snack on some chips, and drink some Capri Suns. And it was funny too because we accidentally got our sandwiches wet by leaving them underneath our seat. But regardless, they definitely hit the spot.
Capri Suns.
We take like grapes and we try to like make it into Eric's snorkel hole while he was down under there.
Like breathing grapes?
Yeah.
After a long afternoon of snorkeling, we had such a fun, rewarding, and memorable experience. Eventually, we reloaded back onto the shuttle after our snorkeling adventures, and what was even funnier about going back onto the bus is that my younger cousin was literally sleeping in the aisle seat when he had an empty window seat right next to him.
My mans, you literally have the window seat.
Oh,
We got to my man's so okay, then do it at the same time again. Like, do I just catch it? What do I do?
Anyways, that basically concludes today's video and our first full adventure of snorkeling in Hawaii. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching our wax shenanigans, and there's definitely a lot more footage that I want to show you in the future, but until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye!